Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be doing a review of Fall of the House of X, number 5, the last issue in this miniseries as we head to the end of the current era of X-Men. Let's talk about the creative team before we get into this. We have writer Gary Duggan with art by Lucas Wernick and Stefano Caselli, colors by Brian Valenza, letters by Travis Lanham, multiple covers. You'll see some at the end of the video. Stay tuned for that. Let's talk about the cast here. There's a lot of people here. There's a lot of stuff going on. So, real quick, we'll go over who is in this issue. So, we have, of course, Wolverine, Emma Frost, Polaris, Magneto shows up, Sync, Manifold, Cyclops, Nightcrawler, Psylocke making an appearance as well, Rogue, Colossus, Storm, Penance, Shadowcat, Miss Marvel, and then, as far as the people that we are going against, we know that Professor X has betrayed the X-Men. We also see Dr. Stasis, Fei Long, Nimrod, and the Omega Sentinel. Now, that is definitely a lot to parse through. That's why I wanted to go over the characters because there's a lot going on, right? This is the end of an era. This is the end of a series. A lot of loose ends have to be tied up as neatly as possible. And I think the team accomplishes that. So let me give you a quick rundown of what's in store for this issue. The battle for the future, it all comes down to this. Orchis versus the X-Men, winner take the future. Orchis has pushed mankind to its lowest point ever, but that just means that the X-Men have had to fight back like never before. Will this be enough? We continue to barrel toward the conclusion of the Krakoan Age as the two stories that are one come to the end. So yeah, we have the other series as well. And of course we'll have that last issue of X-Men to kind of wrap things up. Um, I really enjoy this issue. I think it's definitely not for everyone. If you're not um if you don't like care about how this is going to wrap up, this story is all conclusion, right? It feels like a third act of a really really long and pretty exciting film overall. um the characters, Gary Duggan's been writing them for so long that they feel very much like he understands how their voices should really sound. Both Wernick and Caselli are stellar artists that bring these battles to life. There's a lot of really cool action in this one, like just a lot of big fights, big battle feel. Really feels like an end game type of situation. We also get to see a lot of interesting returns. Magneto finally shows up to the battle, and of course, Polaris is there, so there's always that emotional connection. So, yeah, I think that the team just really managed to put this one in the bag as neatly as possible. And I don't know where we're gonna go from here. I don't know how we're gonna close out this chapter, but I think things are finally looking a little bit better for the X-Men. So let's take a look at some of the preview art. And as you can see, a lot of those shots that we talked about earlier are pulled from here. Uh, and yeah, just big battles. I love Dr. Stasis, like uh, him being just another version of Sinister, and still being around after everything that's been going on. Uh, we have Nimrod battling out in multiple places, which is really interesting and hard to do to really portray that correctly. But I think the team really accomplishes to show us how Nimrod is in multiple places at once, because he has the upper hand, he has the future knowledge, and then of course seeing just all these X-Men go all out, team up in different ways, and Psylocke showing up here. Psylocke does something very interesting here, which I won't go into too many details. I don't want to spoil what happened, but the Omega Sentinel will never be the same after this encounter with Psylocke. So, yeah, I'm ready to see how we close this out. But I was very excited to read this. I really, really enjoyed it. I think it has a lot of very nice emotional beats. And if you've been writing with the House of X, Powers of 10 from the beginning, I hope you find this satisfying. I'm certainly enjoying it. So, hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be doing a review for Ultimate Spider-Man number 5. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. Let's take a look at the creative team so we can see who worked on this issue. We have writer Jonathan Hickman with art, David Messina, letters by Corey Petit. We also have Matthew Wilson, colors, And also, we have a second letterer, Joe Sabino. We have a cover by Marco Cicetta, who is the main artist on the issue normally. So very interesting stuff to see how this issue is going to play out with another guest artist. So in this issue, we have the secret history of Harry Osborn. How does the heir apparent of Oscorp become a mass vigilante? And what does the Green Goblin know of the true status of the world he lives in? All and more will be revealed. Yeah, and it makes sense to have a guest artist in this we have, of course, a retelling, or we're catching up. We're seeing things how they've been going in this world from Harry's point of view this time around. So that makes for a very interesting story. I'm really enjoying this series. I think you guys know that this is one of my favorite ongoings. This new retelling, this new origin of Harry Osborn is really fun, really interesting. It sets up a very different dynamic between him and Peter, but also it's interesting to see what happened in the world to Harry and his dad and his mom and everything that we would know, and how he got a hold of the goblin technology. Also, we're introduced to some really interesting people in the mythology of Spider-Man normally. So here we have a different take on that. So let's go take a look at some of the preview art. And I think David Messina does a really good job filling in, giving us a different perspective here, right? We can see everything from Harry's point of view. So it seems like he was late, and we get to see the incident where his father perished, his mom and his dad. You get also a really quick look, very efficiently, at the relationship between Norman and Harry. How it's always been, Norman has very high expectations always. So we get to see that, and I just really look at that look on his face when he sees the explosion happening. It's crazy because usually Harry's a very easygoing guy, at least in this so far. I like the way that Messina sets up a conversation. This is a conversation with the lawyer and Wen. Also, in this world, Wen is very much an equal to Harry in their relationship. You can really tell that they are a partnership. They look out for each other. And when Wen senses that maybe Harry is not being as firm as he should be, or maybe he seems like he's getting a little bit in trouble, she steps right in. We get a really cool, like, just overview of Harry, the technology, and how that's all working out. So I really enjoyed this issue overall. It's really fun. It's really interesting. We get a little bit more backstory on the Kingpin and how he fits into all this in this larger world, especially because of all the events from Ultimate Invasion and all that, right? So really cool stuff. We kind of have now established in this first 5 issues backstory and the origin of Peter, Harry, all the players on board, and then also we have a grander look at the world. So I expect the next issue to kind of get us back on track on what we've been doing. So hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be doing a review for Avengers Twilight issue number 6. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Chip Zdarsky with art by Daniel Acuna, the letters by Joe Caramagna. This is it, the end of the miniseries that we've been following here. It is so exciting. So let's take a look at the quick synopsis here. The end has come. A horrific bomb has been dropped, and its fallout can't be contained. Avengers and Defenders rise up to save the world, but death stalks them all. The senses-shattering series concludes here in an epic you have to see to believe. It is such a breath of fresh air to go into a series like this that tells us a possible story in the future of the Avengers that still manages to find and have a fun take, but also really captures the voices of the Avengers and all the characters that are in this book, right? Uh, Everyone felt very true to themselves. We had the really cool surprise of discovering what really happened on H Day, which was not Heroes Day. It was named after the Hulk. The Hulk happened, and that's why the Avengers of old perished, and now they've been reassembled by Captain America and the Defenders. Really cool stuff. We had the big reveal of the Red Skull really pulling all the strings, along with some kind of version of Ultron. And of course, we assembled Avengers as we went through these issues. So the last thing we have to do is go in an all-out battle, and that's what we get in this issue. Acuna's sensibilities for like capturing here are very impressive. I really, really love the aesthetic. Uh, it's got a lot of really interesting colors into the palette. It's got a lot of really very dynamic poses. And then I think the paneling just really works to uh, give you along and guide you along with the pace of the story. So let's take a look at some of that preview art. Here you can see this is an all-out battle between the Hulk. We see the Red Skull. We see Thor coming in to take on the Hulk. I think the Hulk in this issue in this story is such a tragic character, uh, but it's still very compelling to read. Thor, I think, also has a lot to redeem himself for. We have a really nice payoff with Thor towards the end of the book as well, and then of course we have plenty of surprises. Um, we I won't go too much into spoilers because I think you should be able to read it. But we see here James's parents, Tony and the Wasp, as they kind of said their goodbyes. But like I said, there's big surprises coming all along the way. So yeah, Chip Zdarsky I think is a great storyteller. I think he finds really interesting ways to still tell some really fun stories with these characters, and also figure out a way to ensure that we are both entertained, compelled, and then there was also a little bit of like, really fun stuff, really funny things, and all this like in pairing with Acuna's beautiful art. It just really, really works, and it's a lot of fun. So, highly, highly recommend this. Now that it's gonna be out, or once it's collected, you should definitely pick it up. I think this is just a great Avengers story. Like I said, a future that could happen, and it's really, really entertaining to read. So hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Black Panther Blood Hunt #1. This is a new comic book from Marvel Comics. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Cheryl Lynn Eaton with art by Farid Karami, Andrew Dalhouse on colors, letters by Joe Sabino, and an amazing cover by Andrea Sorrentino. Holy moly. I didn't even recognize this was Sorrentino's art in the cover. Very, very cool stuff. If you haven't read Blood Hunt #1, there will be spoilers, probably for Blood Hunt #2 as well. You should read this after Blood Hunt #2. In this issue, T'Challa the Vampire, spinning directly from the events of the Blood Hunt series, Black Panther finds himself transformed into a vampire and tasked with carrying out a key mission for the Vampire Overlord. But even the dark transformation won't keep T'Challa from his duties to Wakanda, for better or for worse. Yeah, wow. T'Challa is in such a bad position right now, right? He's been turned into a vampire, and now he's been sent off by big spoiler here by Blade, who is controlling all the vampires on this mission to Wakanda. We pick up really in this with this story, and I think the coolest part is that Eden and the team just really give us a lot of Wakanda mythology right off the bat, right? We get to go into the domain of the past. How does that work when T'Challa, now that he's a vampire, he's bringing this dark entity into Boss domain, and what better way to fight a demon than with a god, right? But how will he be received by his ancestors and the spirits? Also, the people of Wakanda. Will he also he hasn't fed on human, so like all the things that come with being a vampire are going to be addressed right now. So let's take a look at some of the preview art because I'm not familiar with Karami's art, uh, but I think it works out very well here. Um, I think I wish the colors were a little bit darker and more to allude to the tone, but I guess it'd be hard to do with all the, you have Black Panther, uh, and then you have actual Black Panthers, and then it's the middle of the night, so like, yeah, I don't know. I like I said, the tone feels a little off, but overall, like really love the vampire design. You get to see T'Challa fight against this, and it's full of action. I really like this page as he's trying to escape. This is a splash page, double page spread as he's trying to escape. And like in comics, you have to show motion by different duels, and I think Karami choosing to do multiple T'Challas as he tries to escape out of from all these guys. Um, very interesting stuff. Very cool approach. So yeah, I'm really thinking that this is one of the series that, although you probably don't have to read as part of like essential blood hunt stuff, I think it'll be a really fun three-part story, especially if you're a fan of the Black Panther. I think even if you haven't been reading the current series, you'll still this book still captures the child's spirit overall, and you get to see some really cool side characters kind of come in and help. So yeah, as far as the blood hunt, I don't think this is required reading, but I think it'll be enjoyable reading if you get a chance to go back. I think the resolution of T'Challa's mission will probably be shown or summarized in the main blood hunt event. So yeah, there you here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be doing a review for Midnight Suns #1. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Brian Hill with art by Herman Peralta, colors by Arthur Hesley, letters by Corey Petit, and a really cool cover by Ken Lashley and Juan Fernandez. Yeah, you can definitely tell that's a Ken Lashley cover, just from all like how cool it looks. So this is a tie-in to the Blood Hunt event that's going on over at Marvel. I'm really glad that we're finally getting in the Midnight Suns, or at least a version of the Midnight Suns involved in this. In this issue, the return of the Midnight Suns, the original Midnight Suns reunite to deal with the vampire threat unleashed in Blood Hunt, but first they must defeat one of their own, Blade. So I'm not aware of who all the members of the Midnight Suns are. I just know that it was multiple Ghost Riders, Blade for sure. We also have Tulip, who I believe she's been involved with Blade in the main Blade ongoing that Brian Hill's also writing. So I might have to go back and check. But this book definitely allows you to come in and get into this world like without a lot of hesitation, without a lot of issues. You just kind of jump in here. So let's talk a little bit more about this book. But at first, I want to bring up some of the preview art because I think Peralta's doing some really amazing work, just really establishing the world and the state of the world as how we see it at the moment. So you can see here Blade going into this church-like structure. Very interestingly, like obviously it's on fire. He meets up with it looks like some kind of government squad. Like I said, I'm not caught up on the Blade ongoing, but boy oh boy, action and things escalate very quickly. I love Peralta's paneling of like to kind of set the tension, right? And then when Blade gets up, you get to see the point of view from this soldier looking up at him a little bit, and boom, things get insane very quickly. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. I really like just the carnage that Blade has unleashed. You can tell he's sad because I guess he's been working with these people. Like I said, I'm not caught up on the ongoing, so I'm not really sure. You guys can let me know down in the comments. But from this, like, I really want to go back and read it now. And then we have Tulip, like I said, really putting together, getting to meet Danny Ketch and Johnny Blaze, who have each had their own journeys as part of the Ghost Rider mythos. So really cool stuff. I don't know who else they're going to bring in, but it's going to be very exciting. So really enjoyed this book. I think this feels to me required reading for Blood Hunt, only because you are following Blade. This book will directly affect Blade, and although I think the resolution will definitely come in the main series, this will bring you so much background on what's going on, and maybe explain a little bit of Blade's actions throughout all this. So hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Wolverine #50. This is the series finale, also the finale for the Sabretooth War. So let's talk about the creative team in this oversized conclusion. So we have, for the main story, Benjamin Percy and Victor Lavalle, Jeff Shaw and Corey Smith on art. Also Jeff Shaw inking himself, Oren Jr. inking, Corey Smith's pencils, Alex Sinclair on colors. Corey Petit on letters. We have a plethora of covers in the back that you'll see as the celebration for this, but the main one is by Lineal Francis Yu, as you can see in the cover. So, wow, these last 10 issues of Wolverine have been very exciting, full of action. So let's talk about it. Creed versus Logan, the final showdown. It's all come down to this: the final battle, a very bloody battle, but who will be left standing? We also have some special shorts celebrating 50 issues of this run and 50 years of Wolverine from legendary Logan scribes, including Larry Hama, as well as a final send off from Benjamin Percy with art by Javier Fernandez, and also some really special surprises. Now, I won't go too much into detail as to what's after the main story of the book. I think that's fun. But I will say, I think it is worth purchasing. This book is oversized. It's, I believe, $7. But you get about 65 or so pages of content for it. So now let me refresh you on who are the people involved here. We have the X-Force, which of course we have Wolverine, Domino, Kid Omega, who's kind of a floating head at the time, Colossus, Northstar, Aurora, Black Tom Cassidy. We also have Laura Kinney, who escaped the last few issues, Sage, and then we also have one of the Cuckoos as well, and of course Fang or Akiro, Wolverine's son, is been dead from the beginning. We also have a bunch of the Sabretooth. Most of them are dead. Really, just Creed and his son standing, and then we also have the Exiles who have been running around with Sabretooth for the past little while. So yeah, a lot of moving pieces here. But I think this is a very fitting conclusion to this very exciting story. Uh, Benjamin Percy just really knows how to get down to it. Victor Lavalle has been really leading the charge with Sabretooth and the Exile. So like putting them together in an event like this really makes it everything really coalesce really well. And it was very exciting stuff. There's some super violent things. We also see Logan wearing the armor, which really comes out with a big surprise. We see giant thing, while the Exiles are busy battling everything, we do finally get a one-on-one with Sabretooth and Logan. That's probably something that we'll be talking about for a little while because it was very exciting. Let's talk about some of the preview art here. Now, it's hard for me to tell where Corey Smith's pencil start and Jeff Shaw's end, and vice versa. But yeah, like these kaiju / sentinel things that are going on. The Exiles all have very interesting powers. I don't know much about Sabretooth's son, but he comes in as maybe what's supposed to be the main threat. And funny enough, Sabretooth takes care of that. And because we all knew that this was going to be a fight between Logan and Creed at the end, right? It's always been about both of them. So yeah, it's super violent, full of gore. And just when you think things can't get any more exciting, we get a big panel like this. And look at that, just full of everything. Like we have this adamantium sword that's going to cut through Creed. But as you can see, it's emblazoned with the images of pretty much the X-Force and the Exiles and everybody that has been killed or hurt at some point by Sabretooth, which is just very symbolic of this end, and I think a very well fitting in for this story. So hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Rise of the Powers of 10, number 5. This is the finale of this book, this miniseries, and pretty much there's so little left of the Krakoan Age after this issue. We'll talk about it. First, let's talk about the creative team behind this book. We have Kieran Gillen as the writer, Luciano Vecchio as the artist, David Curiel on colors, letters by Clem Cowell, designed by Tom Mueller and Jay Bowen, and a really cool cover by R.B. Silva and David Curiel. Also, you'll see some more variant covers at the end of the book, so stay tuned for that. Wow, what a finale. I will say this is one of those series that I have to go back over and maybe read a little bit because there's so much. It's packed with so much stuff that Kieran Gillen, I feel like he really loves to call back a lot of the things that he set up from the beginning of his run in the X-Men. Through Immortal, AVX, AVXE, like all the stuff that we've been really following him along on. So, in this issue, the battle for time, the X epic concludes in a battle between those who are outside of time, that which is now and forever, and the result is being decided by whether someone can ultimately make the right choice. The end of the Krakoan Age barrels our way as the two series that are one finally conclude. So we did a review for Fall of the House of X earlier in the week, the last issue. Make sure to go check that out. Let me go pull up the preview art because I didn't want to put too much preview art in the video as to avoid spoilers. But I mean, the art team, like Luciano Vecchio, is just such a fantastic artist, especially having to draw some of these really weird concepts, right? It's multi-dimensional concepts that they're being filtered through a two-dimensional medium. I do love seeing that the main battle, as if you read Fall of the House of X, the main battle itself has been won against Orcus. But as you can see, Sinister and Destiny are still having a conversation about, is this truly the end? Are we done? The Phoenix has come back, and we still have this one version of Sinister that is out of time in the White Room. There's a lot of stuff going on, but overall, like it is just some of the most bonkers X-Men I've ever read. I think this is a run that'll be worth revisiting, if anything, just to like make sure that to go over like, do you really know what really happened to these X-Men? So I don't know. I really, really enjoyed this. Kieran Gillen is one of my favorite writers, and I follow whatever he comes out with a book. I'm definitely going to check it out. So if you have read this book, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments as always. Thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye. Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be doing a review for Star Wars Darth Maul Black, White, and Red #2. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. This is the second issue in this anthology series of Darth Maul. Let's take a look at the creative team. We have writer Mark Russell with artist Carlos Nieto doing a really, really interesting story. We also have letters by Joe Caramagna and a really cool main cover by Tyler Kirkham. We'll see some other covers later on towards the end of the issue, so stay tuned for that. So what are we doing here? What is Maul up to this time around? Mayhem at the Moonbender colony. Who are the remainders and what threat are they to Lord Palpatine? Darth Maul is sent to conquer a mining colony single-handedly, but the unexpected opposition becomes an intense battle of life and death. One of Star Wars' most famous villains learns one of his most valuable lessons. And I think when it comes to the stories about Darth Maul, what I really like that Marvel's been doing is showing us how Palpatine was always teaching him the lessons in like the most irresponsible way possible, right? He's always putting him in like these really precarious, deadly situations, and he did the same thing with Vader, right? Palpatine is not a very good teacher, but yeah, Mark Russell really comes up with a very interesting premise of like this moon mining world that it's kind of on its own. It's really not bothering anyone, not really bothering the Empire, but as you kind of dig deeper, you figure out, okay, there are reasons why Palpatine doesn't want this moon around. So all that with Carlos Nieto's art, that it's really, really worked. So let me pull up some of the preview art. And interestingly enough, this looks really good in black and white with the red highlights. The droids, the little highlights for the some of the metal parts that some of the people have to wear, like the cybernetic implants. Obviously the volcano and the mining planet. It just really, really works. And then you bring in Darth Maul into this. Just such a cool design. The robes flowing as he gets out. He meditates to figure out, okay, what's going on. But he's ambushed, and obviously Darth Maul is not one to be ambushed lightly. So there's definitely a really cool confrontation, and things escalate. Violence really escalates as well. So highly recommend this anthology series if you're a fan of Darth Maul. I think you'll definitely get some really cool background and a lot of things that really build up who he was in the films and in the cartoons as we met him and as we went through that journey. Right? I think Maul's one of the standout characters from the prequels and definitely from Clone Wars and beyond. So always down to read a new Darth Maul story, not only because he looks cool, but we don't get a lot of the dual lightsabers. Come on, dual lightsabers are the best thing that's ever happened to a whole generation of Star Wars fans. So, hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be doing a review for Wolverine #1. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. But check out that amazing Ryan Stegman cover. Holy shit. So this book is written by Benjamin Percy with art by Julius Oda, Frank Darmado on colors, letters by Travis Lanham. We have some other variant covers. Let me actually show you my variant cover that I picked up. I did a little video about foil covers and how much I love them. This is the Martin Coccolo variant. And it changes the whole. So as you can see, it's foil. It's really cool. It looks very 3D. I hope you can really capture how cool this is on the camera. But man, oh man, what a great book! This is all rolling out of the crossover between Ghost Rider and Wolverine that we had. Weapons of Vengeance, really cool stuff. Let me give you a quick synopsis for this. Ride to Hell and Back with Wolverine's first solo series because you demanded it, the return of the Wolverine. When the demonic force known as Braga Ghoul first came to Earth, it brought Logan and the Ghost Rider together to hunt it before it possessed Wolverine. But now in the present day, what event will put the Wolverine back on the streets? And he is slashing his Hellfire claws for good or evil. And introducing the all-new Hellfire Warriors. Don't miss the launch of an all-new series brought to you by Wolverine co-creator Benjamin Percy and the blazing hot talent Julius Oda, who's done things like Venom and some work on the Aliens franchise. Let's talk about Oda art first, because holy shit, like this looks amazing. This book looks so gnarly. It's exactly what I want from a edgy type of let's go to hell, let's bring all the demons, let's put Wolverine, set him on fire, right? Starting off with this really cool shot of Mephisto and in hell, we get a very quick backstory of what is the Wolverine? How did we get here? For anybody that didn't read the crossover of Weapons of Vengeance, how did we get here? How is this entity alive? And why are they back? There's a really cool revelation for all this towards the end of the book, but I really love the contrast in the colors, right? When we see some of the darker memories of the Braga Ghoul demon coming to life, the Wolverine being created here as the demons transfer from the kid to Wolverine, and then of course just a little bit of the reminiscence of like what originally happened to that demon and how it was sent back to hell. And then we catch up with some of the things that the Wolverine's been doing, as far as people that are doing wrongs are being hunted down by this entity. So what does that all mean? I think Benjamin Percy, he's been doing Wolverine and Ghost Rider for a long time, especially Wolverine, right? He just finished 50 issues of Wolverine, X-Force. He's wrapping up on Ghost Rider. So like, what better way to kind of continue some of these things by combining two things and just making them really, really cool. So yeah, I really appreciate Benjamin Percy. Like, he does a lot of action. He does a lot of really extreme stuff, but it's cool, right? It's some of the most bonkers superhero stuff that you'll ever get in a comic book. And then, like I said, foil covers are cool. Ryan, if you get the Ryan Stegman cover, which my shop didn't have anymore, which is why I picked this one up, that's super cool as well. So yeah, and also, who are these all new, the new Hellfire Squad that's popping up here? So if you have read this issue, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have our comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here on the channel. And thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.